Hey, this is Willie. Gonna be doing some Bruce Pender style shooting today. The channel name is Bruce's Shop for those of you that should go check it out. I recommend it. Anyway, I got some push mowers here from an old friend of mine that passed away back in 2020. I was there to help with the cleanup of the property, and I know his son really well. I'm friends with him. And he gave me a bunch of push mowers. He says, "You don't even have to pay me for them. Just do me a favor. Get this one running for me." So that's the one that got given to me. This is the one that he wants me to get running for him. Now, I know they look totally different, but these are actually the same vintage early 70s push mowers. That one being an auto choke high-end model. This one being a manual choke lower-end model. Obviously, one's got a Bendix starter, one's got a ball bearing catch style starter, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Anyway, believe it or not, both of these are from the early 70s. I think that one's a 20 or 21 inch, and this one is a 19 inch. The reason I know it's 19 is because it says it kind of halfway on the front, 9, and then the teen kind of got broken off of it. Anyway, I gotta get that running. I did get it running, as a matter of fact. Sheared a flywheel key. For reasons I will describe later on. This one just needed an ignition coil and a carburetor and a starter put on it, which I had from another engine. Needs a rebuild, an oil change, and I'm missing the piece that goes on top of the carburetor below the air filter. So I'm going to fix that on another day. I'm not sure if I'll record that or not, but this is the one that is the main concern. We got to fix this thing, and this has some pretty major issues. But let me put you guys on a tripod, and I'll show you guys that this runs, or they both run actually. So give me a second. Now they both have oil in them, and they both have the original throttles on them. This one's actually metal style, and this one's a plastic. So this is auto choke, so I just have to turn the throttle all the way up and pull the rope. Now these are old mowers. Watch your toes. Take some safety in precautions if possible. Still runs. This one's a little bit different. This one has a manual choke on it, so after it starts, I have to throttle it back. So we'll throttle that one all the way up. That one actually started, the other one will start idle, no problem. So once again, watch your feet, take some precaution. Yeah, it's got a really bad rod knock on it. It might run for a long time like that, but I want to fix this thing right. I believe the rod knock is actually what caused the flywheel key to shear. That being said, I have a spare engine block right there that should fit it with the correct length crankshaft. And grab my light. That should work on that push mower. And I also got myself a gasket kit, for those of you wondering what the part number is. I also got a air filter, which is a little bit of a different style air filter than what you normally see. A spark plug, I also have a better quality muffler that'll fit that. So we're going to see if we can't fix that push mower today. It shouldn't be too difficult. And we'll get rid of that knock. And I got a nice table here. Pick it up. I do not have a fancy hydraulic lift. I am sorry. I know you guys would probably like to see that, but I have a less elegant looking way of just picking it up, get it on there. So let me see if I can get her up here and get it up here and start taking it apart. Hardest part's going to be getting that blade coupler off of that engine, which I might do off camera because I'm not sure how I'm going to do that because I'm going to have to tilt that sideways to get up underneath it. So let me figure that out, and then I'll see if I can't find a way to video the teardown. So hang on. Sorry. Okay, I believe I have all the tools we need to get this all apart. I'm going to try and not to block the camera. I always love Briggs hardware. It never corrodes in. It always comes apart. I gotta undo the throttle cable. That's connected to the blower shroud. I need to grab a flathead. Sorry if there's any wind noise. We've got a few scattered thunderstorms in the area. Sometimes the wind will pick up. Come on. There we go. Just try not to lose the spring or governor linkage there. We're going to need this flywheel for the other engine. I'm going to take two of these screws and put them back in to keep the ball bearings from coming out of the starter. So we're going to put two of those back in on top of that. Okay, we'll take the rest of the coil hardware off. Now this engine's been upgraded to electronic ignition. It does not have the points anymore. So we're going to have to undo these wires here. I think I'll put some heat shrink on there and fix that bare wire issue in case this ever sits outside. We don't get any connection issues. But all that does is kill the ignition on there. So we'll get that all off. You can tell electronic ignition from points the condenser ignition by the little button and the little square in the side of the coil. I do not have a part number for you guys, unfortunately. I believe I'm going to need the intake manifold, or the intake manifold up for the other engine as well. Yep, we're going to need everything off of this thing. I got an entire gasket kit, so I should be able to do everything, no problem. Oh, don't want to lose a spacer for that gas tank. That little spacer goes in that long bolt on the end of the gas tank right there. Back right here. I don't know what it is about these Briggs & Stratton engines. I mean, they could be 20 years old and never stored in a air-conditioned garage, and they always just come apart with no problems. It's amazing. It's absolutely, it just amazes me. So I got 5/16 back on here, and I'm gonna take the valve cover off. I'm pretty confident the muffler is not going to come off of here, but I'm going to try it. Waste not, want not. I'll put that with a pile of parts over there. This engine's probably never been apart other than the flywheel and the ignition coil and the carburetor since it was new. These things don't get any kind of real love for the most part. A little bit of rust in there. Probably just some condensation, but the valves don't look too bad. Get the little breather tube off of here. It's usually just on threads. They shouldn't be tight. Grab myself a 1/2 inch. Oopsie. This thing's been leaking some oil out the bolt. I'm gonna say the head gasket's probably gone. Oh, I just lost a screw. It's all good. It's back. Back on the table. I use that term table loosely, by the way. Yeah, I didn't think this muffler was going to come off. It's stuck, and I feel there's actually pinholes in the bottom of it. It's done. But I have another muffler. No problems there. Now the heat shroud, or the air shroud, I'm going to have to take off once I get the engine off of the mower frame. So I'm not too concerned with that. Yeah, we got some pretty bad scoring in that cylinder. I'm not sure if you saw the smoke, but it was a pretty bad smoking engine. More than likely the oil's never been checked and it wound up starving the engine for some oil. Leading to the rod knock. Not a big deal. Is this going to stay up for me? Maybe. Oh, I'm leaking oil out the valve ports. That's not good. Something I like to do is I always keep an empty box of these paper towel rags. I put my used rags in it for cleaning up the messes like this. Instead of using brand new clean rags to clean up just a mess, I will reuse old rags. And you can just set them on a mess and let them soak it up overnight. You get the idea. So I always keep a I always put my used rags in a box and reuse them for oil spills like this. Saves you on kitty litter. And then once you do that, you just throw them away and you're done with them. They're also good fire starters if you ever want to use them for that. So, can't tilt it that way, but I can tilt it this way. Is it going to stay up nice for me? Maybe not. Oh well. I'm hoping I don't need an open end wrench to get these off. Nope, gonna need to grab an open end. But it's staying, so I'll be back. That one. Actually, I'm going to put that one back in finger tight because I'm going to need something to hold the motor so it doesn't drop on top of me. Tricky. I need an extension for that one. Okay, she's loose on there now. We can troubleshoot the flywheel. I'm going to grab some clean rags, get my hands cleaned off a little bit. Let's do that. Some big channel locks. Okay, I'm kind of getting beat. I want to make sure I'm not on the magnetic side too. Okay, let's go on the counterweight side. I'm going to get between the counterweight and the points and embossment underneath. Now we're not worried about damaging the points on this engine, so best is to put rope in the cylinder and crank it off, but this engine's toast, so I need the parts. I don't want to damage the parts anyway, so we're just going to go right between the counterbalance weight across from the magnet weight, and we're going to hold that up against the embossment for the points up underneath it while I try loosening this starter appendix off the top. Should go. There we go. this side, and sometimes they fall off easy, sometimes they do not. This one came off nice and easy. That's probably because it's all covered in oil because everything's leaking on this engine. Hence the gasket kit. The gaskets are getting old on these. So that should be it with this thing. I'll just take the cap off, put it in the drain bucket, and get the other engine up here. I'm going to put you guys on pause and get this all cleaned up and start putting getting the other engine torn apart and fixed on up. By the way, there is a washer that goes underneath that starter cup you don't want to lose, as well as a flywheel key. And make sure your shaft is clean of any oil when you go to put it back together. These usually need to get a little bit of oil. Let me see if I can't show you that hole on there. There's a little hole right here in the center. You want to put some oil in every now and then to keep the starter from binding up on top of the crankshaft. So you want to clean that all off when you go to put the starter back on. You don't want any oil on your tapered surface, so your flywheel stays tight, which in my case it did not, but I didn't think this engine was going to be happy when I was putting it together. When I fixed the sheared flywheel key, I wanted to see what I was working with, and I was hoping it was just the flywheel that was making the knocking, a loose blade. It was not. It is the connecting rod inside the engine is bad on this engine, and obviously with all these gasket leaks, I was going to have to tear it apart anyway. I just wanted to see if I couldn't get it running first, see what I was working with. I digress. So we're not fixing this engine. We're going to put the parts onto another engine. Okay, so I'll turn you guys back on in a little bit. Okay, I got you guys zoomed in here. Now one main difference, which I have to have spacers for, is the crankshaft is a ½ inch longer on the replacement engine than what the original engine was on this 19-inch push mower. So I have some spacers here I've saved from Simplicity Garden Tractors for the drive shafts. I always save the bushings for those couplers from the engine to the transmissions. So I got 3 of those here for the 3 engine mount bolts. I'll have to get 3 longer bolts as well for the engine mount hardware. Now earlier in the video I showed you how one engine had the auto choke on it with the Bendix starter, and then the one had the manual choke. This engine had the manual choke, and you'll see there's one embossment here where the carburetor would bolt on. Okay, we have the same embossment here. This engine has some extra embossments on it because the carburetor would bolt here, and then these 2 bolt holes would be for the starter, the Bendix style starter. Okay, so the auto choke engine can fit either the manual choke or the auto choke parts onto the block. They're the same otherwise. So this embossment and this embossment are in the same spot. This engine is missing them. This has extras. So this can always be upgraded to auto choke if you wanted to. We're going to keep this thing all original because that's how the owner remembers his dad working on it. Okay, so we got some sentimental value here. We don't want to screw anything up, basically. Okay, so we got scoring in the cylinder, we got tight valves, and we got knocking rod. We're not going to open this thing up because we already know it's bad, and there's also a pinhole in the muffler. We're not going to mess with that either. Okay, so it's going away. I'm not saying good riddance. It's kind of sad to see a flathead leave this world because there will be no more. But we're breathing new life into a push mower, so better than going to the scrapyard. So I've already looked at this cylinder. The cylinder looks absolutely perfect. Looks like there's still even some honing lines in it. No scoring. The valve lash is good. Usually if you get an engine with a lot of hours on it, the valves will get tight. This has good valve lash on it, so I'm pretty confident this is going to be a good quality engine. But we have to clean a lot of stuff out. So what I'm going to start by doing is putting the piston up at top dead center. I'm going to put a rag into the valve valley right here. And we're going to give this thing a shop shower, blow all the junk off of this thing, get her all cleaned off before we start putting her together. And the oil's already been drained out of this engine as well. It's a shame it doesn't have the decal on the bottom of it like the other one does, because the other one said Briggs and Stratton on it and everything. we got to clean the rust off this crankshaft before we can take apart and replace any of these gaskets. I think I can zoom you guys back out. Oop, my bad. There we go. That's a little better. You can see me now. Now I am going in like circular motions. I'm not on it in one spot because I don't want to make any flat spots on here. So I'm always going around in a circle. Oh, you know what? I got a problem. That's not good. I just noticed something interesting. This engine's been screwed around with before, and it wasn't by me. Let's see if you can't spot the difference. We'll zoom out a little bit. There we go. This one's threaded for a bolt. This one is not. That's not good. We're going to take this engine apart, and I'm going to have the engine shop drill this out for a bolt. And square this up, because it was actually cut off with a saw, which I can't imagine why someone would cut that off with a saw, but And that needs to be a good center punched hole. It's got to be drilled straight. It's got to be tapped for fine thread. I do not have the equipment to do that myself, but I am going to film the disassembly of this engine, but this is going to be a multi-part video. At this point, I cannot put this all together in one continuous stream because it's going to take a long time. So, I digress. Let's continue on. That is just a speed bump. That's not going to stop me. Let me zoom you guys back out. Hopefully that looks good. This is a new camera, by the way. Make sure you let me know in the description what you think of the picture quality with the new camera. Okay. 7/16. Open that up. Second one, it is. Once again, an engine from the 70s, and it still comes apart. I wish I had this kind of luck with Kohler engines. Shh. You didn't hear that from me. Going. I'm hitting it right where the engine mount bolts go, by the way. Sorry about the noise. There's probably better ways to do this, but this is working. Once you put the bolts in it, no one's gonna know. Unless, of course, they watch the video. Ha! There she blows! Make sure you don't lose your oil slinger. That's kind of important. Got some moisture in here, but nothing serious. It's got some gray slop in it. But no rust in the engine. It's actually pretty clean. It's got some sludge in the bottom, but no corrosion, so I think we're going to be doing pretty good as for getting this thing back to life. However, we got to do some major bypass surgery. Heartbeat bypass. Ha! Oh boy. So yeah, we're gonna have the crankshaft dropped off at an engine shop to get fixed. So that'll be in a later video. Don't know how long it'll be. Could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, could be a month. We shall see. Rather than zoom you guys in, I am going to move the camera a little closer so you can see what's going on here. Look at that, the gasket almost came off intact on the thing too. Those of you that don't like seeing dirty hands, look away. You know, if we're gonna go the whole 9 yards on this thing, it's already apart, gonna have crankshaft work done, I might as well have the valves lapped while it's down there. I'm not gonna have them resurface them, I'm just gonna tell them to lap them in. Unless he says, unless the shop says that it's not gonna be any good, I'll just have them lap them. I only think it would cost me an extra 20 bucks more for them to just lap them in if they're not too bad. We'll see what he says. Okay. Now I cannot hit the seal surface with the file, do not do that. We are going to have to use steel wool on the remaining surface of this crankshaft. I'm going to go grab that right now. Or no, not steel wool, like a Brillo pad. There we go, nice soft Brillo pad to clean that up. Considering how old this engine is, which is older than me, so let that sink in. It's not in too bad shape. Crankshaft, tappets. I just couldn't wait to get out of there. It's like, oh, air! I'm going to have to grab a 7/16. Actually, I gotta get a hammer and chisel to get the lock off of that. Maybe. Okay. Gonna need to put you guys on pause while I get that metal tab cleaned off up there. Let me see if I can't show you what I'm talking about. There's a little metal tab right up against the bolt right there. I gotta get off of there. So rather than having you watch me for 6 or 7 minutes, get that off of there, I'm gonna get that off on camera and then I'll get the wrench on it and I'll turn the camera on. So hang on. Okay, moment of truth. We're gonna take that rod out and see what the piston looks like. Sorry about the wind noise, there's not much I can do about it. I have plans to upgrade in the future to a better sound system and a better tripod. However, I'm not funded for that yet. No, I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for patience as I save up. There you go. So as for the bolts, they're faced up towards the camshaft in case anyone's putting any of these engines together. I'm not taking the piston off the connecting rod, so I don't have to worry about orienting that when it's going back together. Hopefully she comes out without a fight. Oh yeah, look at that. Well, isn't that just pretty? Well, that's a nice looking piston for 1970s. Oil ring still looks good. That still has a nice edge on it. All the way around, the oil ring looks consistent, so we're good there. No scoring anywhere. I think we're going to get lucky on this one. Camshaft looks good. Camshaft doesn't even look to be flattened out hardly at all. Tips are flattened out a little bit, but I'm not sure if that's just from how it was made, or if yeah, I think that's just how it was made. Is it just had some flat tips on it when it was manufactured? That's all. Didn't have the most aggressive grind, gnarly grind. Ha! So yeah, we'll leave that in there, that in there, that in there, that in there. We'll keep all the regular bolts off to the side, and we'll keep the rod bolts in there. Finish cleaning off all the oil. There she blows. Connecting rod looks good. I'm seeing consistent machining marks all the way around. I'm not seeing any shiny or dull spots, differences between top and bottom. A little more shiny on this side than this side, and this is the side that's loaded more. So you'll see some more lines on that side from dry starts, but it's not scuffed all the way across. I'm not seeing any deep gouges, so we'll probably have the engine shop hit that with some, what's it called? Oh, I know it's called, what it's called. Is it crocus cloth? I believe it's called crocus cloth. We'll have them clean that up. All in all, you're looking pretty darn good for an old engine. See if we can't pop that seal out easy or not. I'm gonna go with not. I think I'll have the engine shop take the seals out as well. Sorry to leave you guys hanging on this one, but until I get all the engine shop work done, not much I can do, so gonna have to leave you hanging here, sorry. So, as usual, if you like the video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, have a good day. Bye.